All right, let's move on to what is my favorite category of them all. Let's talk about best original score. Dave, what do you got?
All right. So this is always the category where I'm like, I don't know if I'm even qualified to talk about this with you guys because you are way more into the scores than I am. So I'll be happy if you hear my nominees and you're like, yeah, not bad, Dave. That's all I'm going for here. So the first one is the first one I know you'll like, which is The Brutalist. We have brought this
Good
up
stuff.
before. Phenomenal. It's actually the only score that I have gone back to and listened to numerous times. That's the one that I keep going back to.
It's almost operatic.
Really
it almost feels like an opera.
It does. Yes, absolutely. Second is Furiosa. A score I really kind of love, just adds to the kind of propulsive nature of that movie. I think it fits it tremendously well. The third one is Baby Girl, the Nicole Kidman.
Nice. Okay.
Yep. Kind of lovely score, and also adds to the emotion and the struggles of that movie. Challengers, we've talked about. It's incredible. I love it. And then the last one is I Saw the TV Glow, which really ties into that kind of synth late 80s, early 90s feel. And I just find it like kind of nostalgic, as I find a lot of that movie very nostalgic. So those are my 5 nominees, and the winner is The Brutalist. Just keep going back to that one. I think it's pretty incredible. And the fact that you mentioned this is like the second score.
Second.
Like, what are we talking about?
We talk about composers who are born to do these particular jobs for these particular films, and Daniel Bloomberg for The Brutalist is one of them, which is why he's also a nominee for me, as well as Chris Bowers for The Wild Robot. That's a score where he was clearly born to do that movie. As far as my other nominees, I have Bryce Dessner for We Live in Time. I also have Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross for Queer Challengers, as I'm calling it.
Cheater.
If I had,
there's such different scores.
I am picking Queer of the two. I am going to go ahead and pick Queer, but I do also want to note how great Challengers is. But you're right; they are very different scores.
Yeah.
My last nominee here, I'm going to say, is also my winner, but I'm going to give it a bit of a big asterisk as well, because JD and I talked about this one offline.
I love you giving an asterisk to your own winner.
Well,
it
kind of needs it.
It makes sense in context.
My winner and last nominee is, and I hope I'm pronouncing this name right, Iko Ishibashi for Evil Does Not Exist. And the reason why I'm putting a big asterisk on that one is because technically this is not an original score. This was a piece of music that was meant as like a visual medium or complementary component to this movie and to another visual experience that ended up becoming this movie. So it was a very interesting way of how this was formulated. I mean, it's to the point that this composer is also a screenwriter on this movie, given the basis of how it started. So technically it doesn't qualify based on awards rules, but we don't go by those awards rules.
Screw the Academy's rules. Screw them.
That's why I thought you were going with Dune Part 2 for a second.
Nah, that's a good point. That's a good point. It's almost a similar conversation we could be having with regard to what I'm talking about here with Evil Does Not Exist. But given how much of this score literally is a character in the movie, it may not seem like one, but it very much is. I couldn't escape that. It really is why the vibe of this movie works so well for me, is because of Ishibashi's great musicality here. So yeah, this is my winner with that asterisk, because I know it technically is not an original score, but it might as well be, just given how complimentary that it is.
Well, I mean, you could argue that it's technically not an original score, but it's all born out of the same project. So it's not as if this was, like we've seen with Max Richter's music before, right? Where it was made for something else and then it's in 1,000 different other movies. This was all part of the same project. It might have started out initially as something else, but then it
You're right. Yeah.
became this movie.
We often associate that great Max Richter track with Arrival. For that.
Yes.
But that's a needle drop. That's been in many movies since
exactly.
not even since then, but even before then. It was in Shutter Island, the Martin Scorsese film as well.
Exactly. Yeah, so this is a very different situation than that. This score, and why ultimately Brendan and I landed on considering it, is it was all part of the same project. It might not have started out as this movie, but it ended up as this movie. So it does qualify. It does qualify.
You do what you want, Brendan. You make your own rules. Do what you want.
And it's the best music of the year.
Yeah, it's really great for the same reasons Brendan noted. It's also a nominee for me as well. It really is a character. I don't believe any of us mentioned it. Maybe you did, Brendan. Forgive me if I'm misremembering. But that opening scene for this film, it was very much a contender for me. It just missed out. Might be my number 6. But the opening shot of this film, I mean, the score is doing all of the heavy lifting, I guess, and the camera as it kind of sifts through the forest there. It's
there's a dance between orchestra and camera there. There absolutely is.
Yeah. So yeah, I love that as well. And in the spirit of giving a middle finger to the Academy's rules, Hans Zimmer's work for Dune Part 2, absolutely a nominee for me as well. I think it is some of his best work in recent years as well. So
that was my number 6.
Have that one. Yeah, love that one. Yeah. That is a nominee.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I also have Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. I will recognize that Challengers is great. I love it as well, as much as anyone else does. But I am picking Queer here.
Clearly not as much as everyone else does, because only one of us made a nominee.
Fair enough. But I will say, if we're separating them, it might be 6 for me. 6 or 7. So
they're
they're
both amazing.
They're both incredible. But
they're entering God mode this year.
Yeah. I agree. And I'm going to pick Queer specifically as far as my nomination goes here. And then my last 2 nominees have already been mentioned as well. Daniel Blumberg for The Brutalist and Chris Bowers for The Wild Robot. My winner here, though, as much as I love Daniel Blumberg, The Brutalist, likely on its way to winning an Oscar for Best Original Score, and I cannot wait to see that when it happens. But Chris Bowers is my winner here for The Wild Robot. I think what he does here, it's very similar to what we've talked about with John Powell in the past and How to Train Your Dragon. He was born to score this film. It's absolutely incredible. If you're watching us on YouTube, I've been foreshadowing this moment the entire time. Not only with the film and this lovely little poster. I don't have it. I wish I would have brought it in here with me. But DreamWorks sent me today the sheet music for the track I Could Use a Boost that I mentioned earlier as my track of the year. They sent me the sheet music for that as well. So thank you to DreamWorks for showering me with love for this film and that music in particular. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning to me.
They have to send me a copy. I want to learn that.
Yeah, certainly.
And thank you to them. Thank you to them for doing that, because it let me be a jerk on Twitter today. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Of course, they've had to take an opportunity to jab me a little bit further. I should also mention they sent me the vinyl for the score some months ago as well, and I've been listening to that on my brand new record player that my wife got me for Christmas. So that's been a treat for me.
It's about time.
Yes.
Yeah, so, welcome to another hobby that will drain your bank account. Welcome. You're in it now, buddy.
Cannot wait.
I had to stop. I had to stop myself.
It's bad.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm gonna find it, but I'm gonna search high and low to get the Inside Llewyn Davis soundtrack. That is going to be my next vinyl that I get. Wherever it exists, I'm gonna find one. And
I'm sure you can find that on Amazon. I think it's actually pretty readily available.
It probably is accessible. At any rate, The Wild Robot, Chris Bowers, what he does with the music in that film and that central theme, it is, I think, one of the best animated themes we've seen in recent years, hands down.
Very good.
And I just love it. Absolutely adore every moment of that score. All right, that is Best Original Score.